Celebration Central in Seattle, Washington. This is episode 100 of the Podworms Spacecast. The Podworms are 7 lifelong friends who agreed to stop making this podcast when it wasn't fun anymore. But when you start making Podworms money, fun isn't really a factor anymore. Welcome to the 100th episode of the Spacecast.
Cheers, boys.
You guys were ready with that.
Oh, yours spilled out. Well, mine didn't spill out. You asked me if mine was going to spill out.
It. Shotgun it. Yeah, sip it.
And you know it wasn't ready for that. Any microphones.
Sip it.
Yeah, not at all.
Looks like you're going to have to put that in post. You opened that like we were in a time crunch right now. Yeah. Very prepared.
Get that champagne open immediately.
Like, to be honest, though, I was really tempted because the cork... just
welcome to episode 100 of the Podworms Spacecast. We're so excited to have you today. We're so excited to have had you for the past 99 episodes. And let me introduce to you the Podworms on the show today. We have the Spiked Punch Bowl. It's Mike McCoy.
Oh.
It's me.
A 24-pack of Kirkland signature beer. It's Kevin McCoy.
Give me that Santana Champ because it's so crisp.
Oh.
The Party Popper, Peter Freeze.
Yep.
The corner piece of cake with too much icing. It's Chase Golka.
Oh, no. I hate that. I hate icing. I don't want it. That's like the worst one so far.
The single streamer draped over the ceiling fan. It's Phil Williams.
I don't know how to feel about that. Is that a good thing?
Microwaved appetizer, Jim Charters.
Oh, baby.
All right.
I would rather be that.
And I am the Skittles flavored vape pen, Andrew LeClaire. Well, we're just so happy to have you here for the celebration, this joyous occasion, 100 episodes. The haters said we wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a lot of them.
Yeah. And we proved them.
We have
all
a
7 of our moms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that one negative iTunes comment we had that one time? Proved you wrong.
Yeah. But he feels like a real asshole now.
Yeah, we're about the facts and just the facts. And the fact is, this is episode 100.
Absolutely. And we just really wanted to spend this episode celebrating this monumental occasion. We have some pod mail from our adoring fans, as well as some questions they've been burning to ask us. We got those via our social media. We're going to look back at some of our favorite highlights and segments from the past 99 episodes. We've all gathered some of those to share. And we're going to end the episode with a very special quiz that was submitted by a super fan.
What?
Ooh. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into all that fun, I wanted to kind of just contextualize this 100th episode by just telling you what's happened over the last 100 episodes while we've been recording this podcast. So first of all,
It's been such a blur.
Yeah, it really
has.
Well, it's funny you'd say that. So the first episode of this show premiered on August 1st of 2017.
I feel like we should clink to that.
Wait, really? Yeah. Clinks all around. Let's get some clinks going. Yeah. Cheers, boys. Cheers.
So why did we only bring 5 glasses?
Well, Kevin, that's because
everyone's drinking.
I only
listeners.
have 5 glasses. That's why. And they're actual champagne glasses for you people thinking, we're just using some bullshit cups or something like that.
That's why he only has 5. So 2 of us are.
I'm drinking out of a fucking flute.
Well, there's 5 champagne glasses, but 2 champagne bottles, which makes up for the difference.
7. Yeah.
That's true.
Everybody
Yeah,
else.
go ahead and grab
very
those.
true.
So while we've been recording this podcast, 2 of our podworms have gotten married, Jim and Peter.
Yep. We are happily married.
That's right. Peter and I were married just shortly after we started the podcast.
Jim's a sub. I'm a dom.
Yep. They have a beautiful baby boy.
Yeah, they do.
He's 2 now, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Jim was pregnant before we got married. So he's 2 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like to think that it was the podcast that really brought you guys together, not the, the thing.
Chase, let's
Our son,
Yeah,
Our
whatever.
thing?
Yeah,
Our
whatever
beautiful
it is.
boy.
our beautiful boy Podworm.
They're huge horror fans, and they named their child The Thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he's a handful.
Technically, his name is Michael, Kevin, Philip, Chase, Jim, Peter, and Charters Freeze.
Oh, God, that was so painful watching you try to remember our names.
They're sitting right here, right in front of you.
here.
How many episodes has it been?
He's been away for a while.
Let the listener know that he's on a swivel chair, and he's swiveled to look everyone in the eye as he said their name.
So good.
Hey, so I just realized that he's going to be losing some names.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how names work.
Well, you just you tack
you
them
know what?
on,
You know
you
what?
take them off.
Chase is the only one who gets to keep a name.
Yes.
Yeah. He was the godfather after all.
Yes.
Speaking of which, since we started the podcast, Chase has lived in 3 different basements.
Hey. Wow.
Hey.
That's actually pretty crazy. Holy
That's
shit.
the craziest of all.
Yeah. Wow. Moving sucks.
I finished my GED.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
congrats, dude.
Allegedly.
Congrats on that.
The champagne's also partially for that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. A little bit late, but better late than never.
Yep.
Kevin filled and then finished off a full freezer worth of steak.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, I did.
Wow.
That's right.
In
We
the
still
span of
we
this
still haven't
podcast.
found out what kind of steak that was though. The tests have not come back.
No.
Well, Kevin looks fine. So. Yeah.
Human steak.
I'm just sitting here like a zombie in the corner.
Results inconclusive.
I've just had like a huge hankering for brains recently.
Nothing serious though.
Phil has graduated from handyman to insurance man.
I'm moving up in the world from blue to white collar.
Yes.
We all attended the first annual Podworms retreat.
Oh, we got to do a second one.
A second annual retreat is in
we do.
order.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
I think the planning has already kind of begun, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, so
Fellow
yeah.
Podworms.
Great.
Cool.
All right.
Sweet.
I cured my squeaky shoes.
That's true.
Oh.
Yep. Who could forget?
But you did not cure your crippling anxiety.
That is still a work in progress. We hosted our very first international fan on the show. Got him on the phone at like 4 a.m. his time.
That's right.
Shout out
Yeah.
Clive.
Shout out
Clive.
Clive.
Love you, Clive.
We love you.
We guest starred on other podcasts to promote the show and just share the goodwill of the Podworm Spacecast.
Yep, the Joe
Yep.
Rogan show.
Yep.
Yep, still got the tee. Wearing the T-shirt to this day. Not washing my hand. We had other podcasters on our show,
That's
and
right.
shared in the love.
Hell yeah.
We reached over 1,000 followers on Instagram, and got to
Wow.
meet Ron Cafferty, who was the 1,000th fan.
That's right. That's right.
Ron, told us about IKEA.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith.
And Kevin
We
Smith.
did meet Kevin Smith, yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah,
Lot of Kevin
So,
Smith
yeah,
facts.
second degree.
That's
Yeah.
right. Kevin McCoy versus Kevin Smith.
That's the name of the episode.
That's a good game.
We
That's a good
recorded
game.
2 Christmas sweater collection videos, and will be a third almost by the time this episode comes out.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe.
We've all quit and started more jobs than I bothered to count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We left in a few questionable things on the show and edited out many more.
Thanks, Phil.
And not wrong. And many more. And many more to come. So yeah, I mean, 100 episodes in the bag. And accomplished quite a lot of changes. And I think that in the next 100 episodes, maybe even more big things on the way.
Like an 8th member?
No, like twice as many members.
I think that
double in size.
That's the flavor we're missing.
Yeah, I thought we're all going to pick someone to shadow each of us.
yeah.
The internship.
Yeah, to take on the Podworms next 100 episodes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that when we first started doing this podcast, we never really had any intentions on, well, I want to say we didn't have any intentions on it going for a long time. But here's the thing with creative endeavors, that you kind of always start them like a diet, and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be my new thing for life. And then maybe you make it a few weeks and then it kind of just fades away. Well, this podcast could have very well have been that, but we persevered past the dark ages of the first, what's the 26 episodes, or what's the
I think after episode 19 is where I started enjoying it.
So the line is drawn.
I had fun doing the previous episodes.
We don't talk about the Dark Ages.
It's BC AD.
coincidentally, that actually lines up well. We were looking before the show started at when we started doing the shorter episodes, and that lines up very nicely with the dark ages of the podcast, when not only were they bad, but they're also very long.
They're like 2 hours each. Yeah, it's quite a chore at that point.
Yeah.
God bless you if you listen to that shit.
Yeah. But I never thought we'd make it to episode 100. So this is actually a pretty cool thing that we made it. I don't feel obligated to continue past this anymore. Do you guys?
Yeah, I feel pretty good.
Well, we have those contracts and those subscriptions. We have people expecting our episodes.
Well, yeah. I mean, but once we finish that, they're only get through like 2023 or something. So
So after we're done, by then we'll
then we
all
have to
be retired.
renegotiate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2023, I'm out. That's
Then
it.
we'll be in syndication. TBS will be airing these.
But
Yeah, I'll be getting into TV at that point, and then maybe kind of into movies. So.
Right.
I'll probably have my like solo podcast at that point. so-
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to be doing a podcast just on the movie Solo?
Yes. Lot to talk about. Lot to
unpack in that movie, for sure, for sure.
We're like, hi, I'm Mike McCoy. I'm here to talk about 2018's hottest movie, Solo.
This is episode
A Star Wars story.
episode 156.
And we're going to finally be talking about the famed minute 28.
Cannot wait for that one.
This is
be
the
great.
point where Han and Chewie meet and roll it.
Amazing.
and
And roll it.
you know, while we're reminiscing about the past 100 episodes, I've had several people tell me that they really enjoyed the Star Wars episodes, which really makes me just boil over with rage inside.
You're usually so involved with those, though.
Yeah, because I actually hate those episodes.
You're a baby.
Well, actually,
The fans love the Star Wars episode.
the second Star Wars episode was better. So I think the third annual episode, which is coming up in just a few months now,
Yeah.
like 7.
Right around the corner.
Well, wait, maybe we'll do something for episode 9 coming out.
Yeah.
Episode 9 of Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Peter, this is episode 100. We're far past episode 9.
Right. Yeah, we've surpassed the Star Wars franchise in amount of episodes. They fucking suck.
Why does it take them so fucking long?
I know. We've created 100 episodes, and they've been around since 1977.
So 40 years for 9 eps?
Yeah,
What,
come on.
What have you been doing, George Lucas?
We banged out 102 years.
God, we're like a Mormon family.
Hey, got him.
But I was thinking back to the podcast, because we've tried a lot of things over the course of this podcast, things that worked, things that didn't work.
Yeah.
I think specifically of, this day in history as a thing that really
Did work.
worked.
Right?
really worked, yeah.
It worked so well, we haven't been able to do another
Replicate
one.
the success.
Since episode 1, yeah.
We had an unnamed production company buy that bit from us. We can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
It's in production.
Yeah. But let's just say that the person who's doing it has tall orange hair
Yep.
and his channel rhymes with BT Bess. It's Conan O'Brien.
That was a stretch.
That's true. That's true.
I was so lost.
Well,
It rhymes with
where you going.
Well, see, James Corden has carpool karaoke. Jimmy Kimmel has, unnecessary censorship. Conan O'Brien has this day in history.
Yeah.
He's a huge history buff.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually true.
It is.
So it only made sense that he was going to buy it from us.
Yeah. Thanks, Conan.
I was also thinking back to all you space fans that were around for the improv cold opens. That was a thing we tried for a little bit.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
That was as a basically improv podcast with no real strong structure, you would think that our improv skills would have been better or a little more serviceable than that, but it was probably some of the worst improv I've ever heard.
Yes, and.
Yes, and.
Yeah, so I mean, we're still trying stuff out. This has always been an experimental podcast. We're always free to just try things that may work and they may not. But one thing that's always worked for us here is just connecting with the fans.
Love the fans.
The space fans. And in honor of 100 episodes, it felt appropriate to reach out to the space fans and really just see how much this podcast means to them.
You can't even finish that sentence.
Are you serious?
You want to try that one again?
So we, Mike, I mean, you're the social media manager here. You reached out to them and you wanted to know what it meant for them to keep squirming, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And so not only that, but you reached out to them on Instagram. So before we get to all the because we had a bunch of questions from Instagram of people that we wanted to just kind of take this time out of our typical busy schedule, make some room for the fans, and get those burning questions answered.
Yeah, like an AMA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
We want to give them the opportunity to speak to us.
Exactly right. And so this is a dialogue.
And they leaned in heavily onto the A.
Yep.
Yeah.
They asked anything. But we also sent out the bat signal to the fans to tell us what it means to them to keep squirming, which of course is the mantra of the Podworm Spacecast. And we got this pod mail from a fan by the name of Scott Williams.
I know that guy.
What? Whoa. Wait, who's that? Scooty.
And Scott writes, he says, "Hey, Podworms, to me, keep squirming means to look at life through a space worm's lens and finding ways to laugh about one's circumstances. Thanks for all you do. I'll catch you all at the next grill and bake."
Thank you, Scott.
Sincerely, Scott Williams.
Thank you, Scott.
Good on you, Scott.
Scotty.
Love you, Scott.
And
We love ya.
I think he's right. You know, just looking at the cards you've been dealt and just handling it in a humorous way, making your way through life. You know,
I think Scotty was just doing a low-key burn on us all. Like, you guys are doing fine with what you got. You're not playing with the whole deck here, but it's serviceable.
The best way to deal if you suck at life, like you guys, is to just laugh your way through it.
Because it sucks.
Because it sucks. Because it's really bad and
You
embarrassing.
just got to keep squirming. That's kind of the only way.
well, I mean, in kind of like a nihilistic way, he's not wrong. You know, life is just full of problems and trouble. And that, what are you going to do if not bring it to a podcast and make fun of it, right?
Yeah.
Squirm your way through.
Squirm your way through.
Yeah, was that Mahatma Gandhi?
You've been paying attention, Kevin.
Who's Niall?
Niall, oh, he's another space fan.
Okay.
You've been gone for a few episodes. He's been writing in.
Sick.
Well, thanks, Scott. Happy to hear from you.
Thanks, Scotty.
Yeah,
Keep
appreciate
squirming.
it.
Mike, you're our social media manager. You're the one
I
responsible for all of the viral content that goes up on our Instagram and our Facebook. If you're just listening at home and you've never seen it, you've probably actually seen it without even knowing about it. It's on all those viral meme pages. You probably heard your coworkers around the water cooler talking about it.
Yeah. Everybody's talking about it.
And that's just all due to one guy named Mike McCoy. And you went to our social media. And what'd you do, Mike?
Well, I went on to our Instagram and asked, we polled the crowd for any questions that they would like to ask us on our 100th episode.
Mm-hmm.
So from all of our many, many, many thousands and thousands of followers. So here's just a couple responses. So I figured we could just kind of like, I'll shoot them off and then we can just kind of answer them collectively.
Sure.
Great.
Oh, we could do the answer of the Ask Me Anything?
Yeah. So
Awesome.
So what do you have any questions you'd like to ask the Podworms? First response, not really.
Okay. Wait, let's answer that one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, me either.
Yeah.
I get it, you know?
Yeah, no, I get that. I really connect with this person.
Yeah,
for
not
sure,
a lot
for
of things you need to ask about, really.
Yeah, like, not really.
I mean, well, okay, let me take a second here. I think I wrote that one in.
It's kind of like gun to my head. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll ask one, but like if I don't have to, you know. But
Not
actually, not really.
Despite the fact that this was me that wrote this, let me explain why I think this is a viable response to this question.
Yeah.
Because how often do you put something out there into the ether and it just feels like you're reaching nobody? Wouldn't you just prefer to hear somebody just respond with something?
Yeah.
Not really. Do you have a question? No.
At least people are, noticing that something is being asked.
Yeah.
It's like those old people who comment on products on Amazon where it says, "Can you give a rating for the product?" And they respond like, "I don't have this, so I can't really give a rating on it." And, on one hand, you're wondering why would they bother commenting on this at all? But on the other hand, it's like, you know what? You're out there and I feel your presence and I thank you for that.
At least they're answering, you know.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thanks for that. All right. Next.
So the next question is, why are you still doing a podcast?
Okay.
When
Now,
did we get this?
This was this week.
Oh, yeah.
On our Instagram
now,
story.
Mike,
yeah.
I can tell by the tone of your voice, the way you're reading this, is that you're interpreting this in a snarky bully type way, which I think is because of high school related bullying trauma.
Yes.
And I know that this belongs more on our psychotherapy podcast, but can you try reading it in a more sincere way where one of our loving, adoring space fans is reaching out to us?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll ad lib just like a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Just kind of expounding on what I think they're trying to say. Hey, guys, why are you still doing a podcast?
Oh, that's
I think that was a lot better.
that's a great question.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you guys think we're still doing it? After all
I
these
think
days?
I get what this person is saying. I think they're saying like, where's the feature length movie? Where's the Netflix series?
Absolutely.
They're not asking like why, because it seems like maybe we're stuck doing the podcast, and it's not about that. It's just that this is kind of the format, that we wanted to do, and Netflix also didn't offer us enough money, so
No.
Well, yeah.
And we're not in it for the money.
we're not. We're not. No, definitely not.
We're in it
But
for
we're
the
not
love of
ready
the
to make
pod.
that leap yet.
We're in it for creative control.
But we're not in it for the money either.
Right.
No, definitely.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
So your theory here, Chase, is that they just don't know why we haven't expanded beyond the podcast?
Yeah, they're like, where's the children's show?
Oh, okay.
Where's the-
Chase's.
Where are the novels? Where are
And where's the novelization of the
where's
movies that we made?
Oh, okay.
crossover?
Right.
With other famous things.
Now, now here's a
Yeah, dude.
Where's
like how come Star Wars hasn't casted you guys yet?
Right.
Based off of the Star Wars episodes, things like that.
It's almost like, how are you still doing the podcast?
Yeah. That's what I really got out of it.
Good.
now.
what you like? I interpret it as you've reached the pinnacle of podcasting.
Yeah.
You're at the summit of your profession. Why continue?
Yeah.
And Chase, you're right. We can expand, and I think we continue for the young, up and coming potters.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're doing it for them.
We are
Passing the torch, as it were.
Yeah. We're passing the torch to
us
a
by
a
continuing.
new generation.
I mean, we still have the torch, but we're definitely holding it, and the podcast are chasing us.
Good thing about torches is that if you light somebody else's torch, you get to keep your own.
Yeah.
So, not too bad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of construction sites out there in America,
Oh, right.
and there's a lot of young kids in hard hats and vests thinking, "Hey, what am I doing next?" And they're listening to the pod.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah. That really resonates.
That's
with me.
really who we're doing it for, is the construction worker.
Yeah.
The young construction workers or the old construction workers. Your dad.
All right. What else we get, Mike?
Here's another one. It kind of feels like this one almost could have been tagged onto the last one.
Okay.
It's hey guys, where is your self-respect?
do we have to keep reading these?
Where's your self-perspective?
No, self-respect.
So this was a reply to the last one.
No, but it kind of feels like it was in hand,
I don't really think so. I think they're like, why are you guys selling yourself short?
Is this like
you guys could, be doing so much more.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, do you think this is like the same person who like typed one in and then went back and then typed another one in?
I think that this is where's your self-respect? You guys continue to push the boundaries
Yeah.
of the medium,
Yeah.
and just when I think I'm out, you pull me back in.
I totally see it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, they are saying you continue to do amazing things. You almost have no self-respect because you put yourselves out there. You're again at the peak, and you might get pushed off and tumble down the mountain, but you still risk it.
Yeah, it's almost like they're worried because we're pushing it. We're pushing so hard,
Yeah.
Well, one thing I've always prided us on is that every time we come in here to record an episode, we all strip down naked, metaphorically speaking, and we just expose ourselves to the podworm, to the fellow podworms here, to the space fans, and for a lot of people that's hard. That's a hard thing to get your mind wrapped around.
We truly show every episode our inner worm to our audience, to each other.
And outer worm.
Right.
You know what? Exposing myself really motivates me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just to expose more and more
I
and more.
just want to expose my inner worm to you guys. I just want you guys to see my inner worm.
See it
You know,
squirming around.
See what's going on with my inner worm.
I see you.
Thanks, man.
I find that the more I expose myself here, the more likely I am to expose myself
Elsewhere.
elsewhere.
In public.
In public, yeah.
I like the bus myself. I do a lot of exposing on the bus.
Yeah.
Self-exposing.
I've been at the mall exposing myself. I've been at parks exposing myself.
It's freeing. What else do you have, Mike?
Okay, here's a good one. Has Andrew gotten an oil change since the last one that he paid for?
Oh, wow. That is an interesting question. Wait, since
It's very interesting.
So interesting. I think this expound on that one.
I think we can move on.
Take your time with
Yeah, we
it.
can move
Please
on.
let us know. Hey, we're gonna give you 10 minutes to just roll with this,
So
Andrew.
how long ago do you guys estimate that was? 'Cause I can't remember
that
now.
episode where
Yeah.
you talked about how you haven't done it forever.
6 months at least, right?
So like 40 episodes ago.
So yeah, so I would hope that you've gotten an oil change.
So I guess I know the answer, but do you guys want to take a guess?
No.
Yeah, the
I
answer
think the answer is no.
just no.
The answer
Yeah.
is no.
You just have
Yeah,
not.
the answer is certainly no.
You're right. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Maybe
that's
that
great.
question was just a ploy by Bellevue Nissan to be like, please come in. Please.
Yeah, we do tag them in every post that we do about Andrew to
how
try and
many
get him
miles
moving.
have you driven since then?
Oh, quite a few.
Are you just
20,000.
avoiding the dealership again?
No, I mean, I actually don't drive that much. I bus pretty often. Okay.
Yeah, you know, maybe you're not to that 3,000 mile mark yet.
However, I will say that my car is currently giving me all 4 tires are low on air pressure because it's cold outside right now. And I'm like, I should pump those babies up because they're like 6 or 7 PSI under. It's all good.
You know what? Hey, just buy 4 new tires.
I gotta just replace the
Much
damn car.
easier to buy
maybe
4 new
just a whole
tires.
new car.
Yeah,
Actually.
new car.
I think it'd be easiest.
Tesla. Get a Tesla.
Yeah, get a Tesla.
Did we have more, Mike?
Yeah, we got one more. So the last question is, how have you all grown since episode 1?
Wow.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm still 5'7".
Yeah, I'm still 6'1" as well. I don't know. I don't understand this one.
Yeah, I'm same.
Still
6'7".
5'11", never gonna get to hit that 6.
Yeah.
I've actually shrunk.
Oh, I mean, maybe in width a little bit. Am I right?
Had a couple, little too many Twinkies recently. Too many brewskis on the pod.
You know what the pod does. You guys know what the pod does. You know. You know.
Oh yeah.
Well, because what the space fans don't know is after the mics turn off, it turns into a overnight rager.
Oh, yeah.
Where we
every time.
don't stop partying and just it's like it's like one of those parties that you see in like fantasy stories where they just have like the pigs coming in on
There's straw on the floor,
it's
and
like
there's
a
like people
feast.
throwing furniture at each
Yeah.
other.
there's just like fruit and there's like more wine.
It's
And
like medieval times.
Yeah,
A lot of belly button shots are done.
There's like people pouring beer and wine on their faces and not really drinking it anymore.
Yeah, we're like clinking big mugs and the beer's going everywhere. I mean, ale.
People are laughing and falling back in their chairs.
Yeah, we're in a complete fugue state by the time we're done. Yeah, and after 100 episodes, that tends to wear on you.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
We all have tremendous heart disease.
Tremendous. It's the best heart disease.
It's the best heart disease.
And everyone knows the microphone adds 10 pounds.
That's what I've heard.
Oh boy, do I.
Gee.
Well, thanks again to all of our space fans that have made the past 100 episodes so magical. Love hearing from you guys and looking forward to the next 100. We want to kind of reflect back on some of our favorite bits from the show. I know that you space fans at home are probably thinking of all your favorite bits that you've experienced and listened to while you've been driving, while you've been doing the chores, mowing the lawn. What else?
Masturbating.
taking a shit,
Masturbating, taking a
construction.
shit.
construction, yeah, like and within that, like a lot of like hammering,
Carpentry.
drilling,
Coding.
hammering and drilling. I mean, what else?
Auto
What else do they do?
Nailing.
Isn't that it?
Lifting up things.
Yeah,
shoveling.
yeah,
shoveling.
Lifting 55 pounds over your head.
Yeah. 55 pounds or more.
Minimum.
Multiple times a day.
But we all brought clips from our favorite bits on the show, and so I want to let's just share them now, and let's just reminisce.
Let's expose ourselves.
So
Yeah.
my clip is from an early episode of the show. I think within the first 5 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, but it was during a time where we were playing around with some editing and thought that'd be nice to have kind of a sound bed under the game at the end of the show. And in this particular game, we were doing like an old-timey vocab quiz, and something happened in the middle of this recording that turned the whole recording into chaos. And it wasn't until it was pointed out to me later by Kevin that this completely off-the-wall moment made it into the show. And just the music, the old-timey music bed, and just the chaos that broke out made this one of my favorite moments in the show. So let's take a listen. Okay, in the last one, let's call this one 2 points. Really raising the stakes on this one.
Okay, that will tie it up
For
if
only
you do 2 points.
Arbitrary reason.
What about for me?
Depending on who it is.
Chase, you're gonna have a
There's
problem.
a large spider ascending by Jason.
Oh, it's not large.
Nice.
I've been following.
Oh, it's just a cute
just climbing up.
little Spidey.
You guys want to name him?
Fred.
Peter Parker.
Kill
Fred? Well, now we can't kill him.
He's got a name.
Damn it.
He lives in your room, so.
Actually, you know what? Fuck Fred. Kill him.
Put him in the bottle.
Put him in the bottle.
Yeah, put him inside.
That is so obnoxious.
I heard you're getting very stressed out by this tiny spider.
Did you get him?
Oh,
Kevin has tried to catch the spider in a beer bottle. Success.
Okay.
very good.
Oh, great. Now it's going to climb all over my shit.
Well, it's
over
drunk.
there.
It's drunk now. It's gonna be fun.
Fred's stuck in there. Trust me.
Fred's a funny.
So,
No, you'll love Fred when he's drunk.
You'll love Fred.
there was just like you heard in the clip, a spider that was descending on the Podworms, and we just decided to, to just shoutcast the whole thing. And who was it?
Oh,
Was it me shouting? Or was it you shouting, Mike?
I thought it was Kevin.
I'm the one clearly
beer
with the
bottle.
beer bottle getting the. That's funny. I thought it was either me or Chase.
It sounds
don't
like
think it
Mike
was
just
me.
like screaming
It's probably
into the
it's
mic.
probably me.
It sounded like
Yeah. Maybe it was. Yeah.
It
Okay.
sounded like Mike.
It's really obnoxious.
Seriously, though, fuck Fred. Fuck that guy.
The fact that we grabbed a beer bottle to try and resolve the situation. Yeah, I don't know. But
That 100% gets my vote for just the most shit show moment in the entire catalog of the Space Worms.
Oh, that's so funny.
well, the reason that I had it on hand was because Kevin had sent it to the group a while ago, and it's literally titled Spider Shit Show.mp3. So there's that. But that was one of my favorite episodes in the show. Mike, you picked out a favorite.
Yeah, I picked out one from, and the bit that I am sharing is actually the title of the episode as well. But I think that it's one of those 2-hour episodes. It's episode 18, so I don't know if many people have ever even heard this bit.
The Old Testament.
It's our
The OT.
this is our ASMR bit that we did.
Love it.
Okay.
You might stay out of that sour cream. Okay, and now why does your sour cream sound like that? Sorry, guys, I just love sour cream. The sour cream is a little slow. I'm just sticking my fingers all up in it. Can I have some of that sour cream? Yeah, here you go. Oh, thanks, man. Here. I don't want to lick it off your hand. I want my own. Mike, could you open that bag of chips too for the sour cream? Oh yeah, yeah. Let's open the bag of chips. Yeah, let's open the bag of chips. All right, snowy field. Okay.
It's so beautiful. I can hear the snow falling right now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wow. Oh, that's wonderful.
Sorry, guys.
Mike, give me the sour cream. I asked for it like a minute ago. What's wrong with the sour cream? You're ruining it. You're ruining all of this. Tupperware away. Okay, just one more. Are you? That's gross. That's so gross. I wish you wouldn't be doing that. Do you have any bread or anything? Yeah, it's on. You're just eating it with your fingers. Some taco salad. No, okay, I'll just use my tongue now. I don't want to. That is he's slurping our huge sour cream. He was just slurping sour cream. I've never seen a jar of sour cream that big. It's like from Costco or something. I can't believe that he slurped all that up. Oh my god, I can't believe he's doing any of this. Oh my god, it's all over his body. Jeez, wasn't that full when we left? There's none left. That's disgusting. I've never seen a man eat so much sour cream.
Wait, oh, Mike, there's some on your cheek. Let me get it off.
His tongue is like a snake's tongue. How does it go that fast? I know it's like snowy out here, but the sun's hitting pretty hard. Maybe we should all put on some sunscreen. Guys, I'll put it on for you. Mike, that's sour cream. Mike. That's sour cream. That's sour cream. No, don't worry. Okay, Andrew. Sour cream will protect you from the sun. I'll get you first, Andrew. No.
Mike, I want the sour cream, please. Please, no.
I'm gonna protect you. It's not gonna protect me. Oh, I got it. It's just doing it. It's not sunscreen. It's not sunscreen. It's just
Wow.
You know, that might be the best improv bit we've ever done.
The most successful improv.
Easily.
That literally, that's the first time I've ever heard that. That was really hard to listen to.
Oh my god, I love that.
I didn't remember how long that was because
That's one of my
Wow,
favorites.
yeah, we really kept going.
the clip that's on the Instagram page is so much shorter, but I forgot that Kevin is like, guys, let's put some sunscreen.
Well, that's where the name of the episode came
It
from.
doesn't even make it to like the I can't believe he's gotten through all that sour cream in this amount of time. That's the biggest jar of sour cream I've ever seen.
That was at the end of
my
after
God.
the credits of an episode.
Yeah, that was like
wasn't it?
after the credits.
Yeah.
That's my favorite after the credits
Oh,
thing.
definitely.
And it's even like a minute or two after the credits because we like kind of talk about it because it all came from Kevin was gonna do some actuarial actuary bit where he
Actuarially.
actuarially
Yeah,
where
right.
he summarizes each episode and then we decided to make it an ASMR and oh boy,
And then the bit was
there's
born.
that.
Oh, that's great.
All right, Peter, what do you have for us?
Well, I did not prepare for this. So I'm just going to pull out a random episode and press play.
All right.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. Much like me working with Mike on an 8th grade history project, I didn't do anything.
All right, let's
Yeah.
hear it.
Great, yeah.
Cool.
That's accurate.
That's totally easy. Totally thought he would have known there was people in here. Well, I gotta tell John about this. Get him, Luke.
Oh, we gotta tell John.
Oh my God, John would love this.
John's gonna love this.
John is gonna go nuts.
Hey, guys, John died.
What?
Yeah, he died about an hour ago.
Was he on Alderaan?
Yeah.
Holy shit! This is like a whole side plot of Star Wars.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
He was down on Alderaan. He didn't get the text.
Let's all sing the John theme.
Together in unison, please.
Yeah.
Oh, John.
Oh, miss you so, Johnny boy. What's weird is that we've always sang that song, but never thought about how we say we miss you. As if we expect him to die.
He's like always been around when we sing it. It's a little
Maybe
weird.
that's why he left.
Hey, Luke, did you hear that singing?
It's like, yeah, John always said he fucking hated that song.
I don't know why.
I would hate it too if you guys were foreshadowing my death.
Hey, Luke, did you hear that singing? I think some guy named John died.
Let's jump out and get their costumes, their stormtrooper costumes.
Jim and Peter just swinging and keep us on track.
Way too far out. Let's bring it back.
Oh my god, dude.
Is that the first Star Wars episode? Or
Yeah, I think so.
For
It'd
just
have
a
to be.
random part of an episode. That ended up being pretty good.
I was like,
You know how to pick them.
I
Yeah.
literally was like, well, maybe the middle. What? I did not. No way. Wait, I swear to God, I did not listen. No, I didn't.
No way.
I was scrolling through. My entire plan was, I bet episodes 1 is really shitty. So I was gonna play like the first minute of episode 1, and they're not on Spotify.
Right.
Our
And so
podcast
then
is just that good.
Andrew
Yeah.
Andrew
Pick any
mentioned that he
clip.
really hated the Star Wars
Oh
episode.
my god.
So I literally, you should have just seen me. I just literally pulled it to the middle.
Well, this just goes to show you can find any random minute in an episode of the podcast.
Yeah,
Just-
all
And
of
it's
it is
all gold.
hilarious.
Hits after hits.
So I would submit that that's pretty damn good improv.
Johnny had the
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Johnny
Great.
Boy, yeah.
The funny thing about that is that that game where you sing a song without having prepared beforehand is usually played with like 2 people.
Yeah.
That was 6 people. That was 6 people.
it was a chorus.
We nailed it. We even stayed like in
Yeah,
chorus the
Yeah,
whole time.
seamlessly.
We're gonna have to do a Star Wars episode before 9 comes out.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, we're committed.
We should do 9
all right.
episodes before Star Wars 9.
What was that?
9 Star Wars episodes before Star
Okay,
Wars
okay, we can't commit this much.
Kevin, you're overcommitting to
Let's
that.
start singing now.
Wait, we can't deal. We'll put on so much weight after all the feasts. All right, Phil, what'd you bring?
I love one particular bit in particularly.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
It's a little bit called Sports Game.
I love sports game.
I love Sports Game because I love sports, and I also love that Andrew knows nothing about sports.
That's it.
EA Sports. we should get the EA Sports drop. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Podworms Sports. It's a game. It's a game.
I like that just as much. The first name is Dick Pole.
How do you spell it?
It's just both those words as you typically spell them. Dick Pole.
Can you give me the origin?
Can you tell me which sport he played?
Yeah.
Not just did he play sports.
Yeah.
I'm sure if there was someone named Dick Pole, he probably played some sports at one point.
No, I can't give that away.
Wrestler.
Okay, Dick Paul.
Wrestler.
Dick Pole.
Wrestler.
Is this a real person, a real athlete, or somebody
Yes.
that I made up?
Real athlete.
I'm gonna go real right off the bat, just
Chase,
because.
Phil, Mike, real.
I need a win. I'm going no. It's a fake person.
No, all right. Dick Pole, he is a real person.
Nice.
He played for the Portland Beavers in 1980.
Yeah, he did.
Dick Pole.
I think they're baseball. Yeah.
I think they're baseball. It does make sense that Dick Pole played for the Beavers.
Yeah.
Didn't play sports. We can't tell you which sport where he played. Just believe me.
Believe me, sports were played.
You know, the Podworms Space Gas is a little bit of a multimedia interactive experience. If you are curious about Dick Pole, go look it up.
Multimedia interactive.
Look it up.
I mean, if you're listening to this right now, you're either on a phone or a computer. Go look it up. All right. You expect me to do everything for you? I'm guiding you on an experience.
Please tweet us back what the Portland Beavers are.
Yeah, I really would like to know.
Please do.
Please tweet us a picture of your Dick Pole. Dick Pole. Sorry, excuse me.
Dick Pole.
All right. The next person that may or may not be an athlete is Urban Shocker.
How do you spell that?
It's the same as you'd expect.
I really don't. Can you tell us the sport this time?
I unfortunately am not allowed to tell you the sport.
Every time he dunks, he's like, Shaka!
Urban Shocker.
There's no way this is
That was
real.
a good one.
Nice, Mike.
Unless he played slam. This sounds like a guy's name who would have played slam ball, like the trampoline basketball.
Oh, classifying slam ball as a sport.
Yeah, all these are real.
I don't know. They tackled
Who
each
made the
other.
slam ball?
Here's one of the names of one of the characters in NBA Street.
It's a Urban
Ooh, okay.
Shocker.
Yeah.
I'm going to go yes.
No.
I'm gonna say no on this one.
I'm gonna go yes on this one because I hope that they're all yes.
Okay, so we're all so who's the dissenter who's saying no? Phil?
Mike, I say
So
yes.
Peter and I said no. Jason, Phil said
Yeah,
yes.
yes.
Okay, got it. Urban Shocker played for the Yankees.
Yes.
From 1916 to 1928.
Urban Shocker.
Urban
And
Shocker.
what a career he had.
When he played in Kansas, it was not great.
You look,
Not good.
you look like you're in disbelief, Peter. And let me tell you, look it up.
Honestly,
No, thanks.
that news is a shocker.
Damn it. I was
All right. The next person who may or may not be an athlete is Rock Hardman.
Can you?
Oh, yes.
Can you just spell that?
Yes, his first name is Rock and his last name is Hardman. Hardman.
Oh my god.
Rock Hardman.
And sport?
Rock hard.
I can't tell you that, Peter.
Hey, Rock, you feeling good? Yeah, I'm rock hard, man.
Oh my god.
Son, what jersey do you want? I want Rock Hardman. Rock Hardman. Who's your favorite player, buddy? Rock Hardman.
So is he a real person or
Hell no, that's too funny. There's no way he's that cannot be.
God, I
The
don't
only reason
know.
I think it might be fake is because Andrew's laughing really hard, so I feel like he made it up.
I'm gonna go with fake.
I'm gonna go with real.
That's fake? I mean,
Oh, good.
I made that one up.
That reminds me.
Yeah, you love it. I can tell.
I do. Oh my God, Rock Hardman. Yeah, that was a
Rock hard, man.
that was a fun game to put together because it was very kind of just like not just off the cuff. Like because I
my
put all the names together like 3 minutes before we started because I didn't know what game to play, and so I had a list of the real names, and I just had to come up with like a bunch of like fake ones to put in. The
And
mix.
Rock Hardman is what you came up with.
Yeah, that just kind of came. I mean, that's kind of the stuff that's going on in my brain.
Yeah. Right.
Rock hard.
Andrew's sitting there like, I am Rock Hardman.
Rock Hardman. I gotta keep that one in mind for like my next online screen name.
Definitely.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
I come from a long line of Hardmans.
I mean, Urban Shocker is just as good.
Urban Shocker is good too.
Which, by the way, just looked him up. Hell of a career.
I don't doubt it.
We do spend. I didn't want to play like the next 45 minutes because we spend it talking about Rock Hardman and his porn career. We do like a Lion King analogy at one point.
Oh, I love that bit.
That's really great.
Do you think we could change our Instagram handle to Rock Hardman?
I mean, we certainly could.
Yeah.
We should
Or
definitely do
The
that.
Podworms Spacecast at Rock Hardman.
That could be like our companion page.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where
Oh,
all the behind the scenes stuff.
that could be Phil and I's sister podcast.
Spin-off podcast.
Perfect.
The Rock Hardman podcast.
I love that.
Where we talk about sports.
Spurts.
Spurts.
Which one of you is Rock Hardman?
I'm Rocky's Hardman.
Rocking the Hardman.
This is Rockin' Hard Man in the morning.
You're in between Rock and Hardman.
All right, Kevin.
Nice. There's so many moments that's like hard to pick a favorite. Like one of my favorite all-time eps is just $400 of steak. And then the Rat Watch series. I always love your shame stories. Those are probably my highlights. And then honestly, the Clive interview. But all of those things are like the Clive interview was just like a fantastic, amazing ep.
Yeah.
That was a great moment.
But they're all
Except
too
for he
long,
hated me.
to.
That's what made it so good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh, wait. Didn't he vote somebody funniest on the podcast again? Do you guys remember who it was? You guys remember who he voted? You guys remember who it was?
I don't know.
Anybody?
Let's move on. I don't
Mike,
remember.
do you remember? Do you remember, Mike? Do you remember who it was?
I remember who it wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
It was you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I showed him the podcast and he boots me out.
I
All
mean,
right, well.
Hey, Chase, can you give me a verb?
any verb, Chase.
Got him.
Let's see. here.
An action word.
Literally just say anything.
All right. Later. We don't have time for this. All right. What'd you pick, Kevin?
So instead of picking one of the obvious ones, I kind of went with something that took me by surprise when listening back to the episode. Like it's like something that we did in an episode, and I would have never have remembered that we even talked about this. It was a game that we were playing where you were finding questions to answer from people on the internet. And someone asked, they're like their parents want them to turn their phone off at 9 p.m.
Okay, I don't remember this.
And so we were giving a teenager advice about how to deal with their phone, and we talked about it for a good 10 minutes. So I'm giving you the end of this.
Okay.
But like we ended up like siding with the parents that you should have your phone put away, and that's the setup for this one.
All right.
Nobody wants to see your gross 15-year-old or year 11 genitals. That's past 9 p.m. You're getting up to no good with these smartphones. You're taking dick pics.
It's true. That's when people are sexting.
I love that this is the option we're stuck on.
It feels like defending the parents at this point.
You know what?
You should be getting rid of your phone at 9 p.m.
Nobody needs to see your chestnuts and berries.
Okay, I got one.
Yeah.
Get a burner phone.
Burner phone. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, except for burner
Where do
phone
you keep
doesn't have-
that?
doesn't
Is
have
that like a burner phone? Like you go in the yard and you say, "Parents, I'm just gonna burn my cell phone. I don't need it anymore."
That's exactly what I meant. Just in front of your parents, burn a phone every night.
Oh, that's so different than what I was thinking, because I was thinking that you would get a phone that's shaped like the grill on your stove, and you just plug it in there to charge it.
Oh, a disguise phone. Yeah.
I mean, all these work, right?
Verizon has some great deals on disguise phones right now. I got one that looks like some bubble gum on the bottom of my shoe.
Yeah, I got a
Can't even
Pringles
tell it's a
can.
phone.
Pringles can phone.
I love spending a few hours on isitaphone.com /store.
It's like you know it's a phone, but sometimes you can't tell, you know?
The best part about that site is they don't even know.
They don't know either.
Is it a phone?
Is it a phone? You're supposed to buy it and then report back and let them know if it's a phone.
I ordered
Was it a phone?
If it burns, it's a phone.
Please leave a review. If you don't, you're just.
I got all these things, and I can't tell which things are phones or not.
I ordered a KitchenAid mixer that was a phone. When I got it, it was a refrigerator. So they don't.
It was not even a KitchenAid mixer.
No, they sent me a refrigerator.
At some point when we eventually do have a Podworms app, can we have like a game on it that is just is this a phone?
Is this a
And it's
phone?
just a bunch of pictures of things, and it's a yes or no.
And no, it's a 1 to 5 rating on how many bars of signal you give it.
Dude, I think that should be just like our account creation CAPTCHA. It's just like all those pictures, like select the phones.
It's not even a yes or no. The question is it a phone? And then you give it a 1 out of 5 rating.
1 out of 5 bars of signal.
I like the idea.
Is that phone? Yeah, 5.
5 bars for you, folks.
I've made calls on that phone.
There's no other context on the site. It's just is this a phone picture and then a bars that you can
Select your
select.
bars.
Select bars.
Full?
If you Photoshop the images, I will build that.
I don't think that they need to be any images. I think they should just be images.
Yeah, just
what?
pull those images.
Like they don't need to be.
They don't need to be Photoshopped. We just
None of them need to be phones.
all right. I'm super inspired.
I'm glad that we.
This is the best idea since Dave.
Exitphone.com.
Which, for folks at home, that means it's a bad idea.
Walk.
So I think this person obviously has a lot of great ways to fix their problems. So hopefully,
I mean, that's a segue.
I love that.
I think we definitely answered the question for sure.
It is a phone. Correct.
Yes, that's a phone.
I like how this is what happens when you have a 7-person podcast, by the way. Is that we have a bunch of tangentially related ideas, but not really. So you have like isitaphone.com where you give the ratings from 1 to 5 bars. Then there's like the CAPTCHA where you're trying to identify the phone. And then all the signals start getting crossed in the middle of that where it's like, wait a second, so you're doing the CAPTCHA and you're giving a rating from 1 to 5? Yeah.
It's like you take that 2 minutes and you can like have a ton of red thread and photos, and it just none of it connects.
It's in the app, and none of it is advice for a kid to like deal with his parents wanting to take his phone away at 9 p.m.
Well, I say burner phone, and then we come up with like 3 different versions of what a burner phone could be.
Well, it sounds like you have plenty of ideas of how you can keep your phone at night. So,
Oh my god.
yeah, I forgot about that one. That was good. All right, Jim, what'd you bring?
So this is actually all from episode 44, which is entitled Underdong. But, so I listened through all of episode 44 because it also references one of my favorite bits, which is entitled Armadillon. Y'all remember?
Absolutely wacky.
Well, look,
Wacky, dude.
Y'all remember that ketchup that was purple or green? Remember that?
Y'all
ketchup?
remember
that ketchup that was Are you still armadillo guy?
I do.
Jim never got out of this.
I used to pour that all over my armadillos at home.
Yeah, I remember.
You know, a bullet can't go through. You can't take a bite either.
That's right. That's right.
They look like little hot dogs just rolling around.
Those damn things are so hard to eat.
They look so good too.
I tell you what.
So let's
If I hear one more thing about Napoleon's nipples.
Poor guy. Poor fella.
So this article concludes by saying the McDonald's CEO said kids were confused by the taste. The bubblegum flavored broccoli was a failure.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm sure it was.
I mean, a fucking wacky idea, right?
Who would not be confused by the taste? What?
Like, also, kids are just spitting out. Can I have real broccoli?
Yeah, what? Just give me the real broccoli. Okay, I'll eat that. Let me ask this question. If you're going to give broccoli a different flavor,
Yeah.
what's your first choice?
Bacon.
Why
Bacon flavored broccoli. That's
like
a perfect
steak or something?
Yeah,
Something salty.
Or I even take like strawberry if you want to go the other way, like savory or sweet, right? But not bubble gum.
First off, bubble gum isn't even something you normally just eat.
It's not even a vegetable.
Because technically you just chew on it. Yeah, bubble gum is, first off, bubble gum is not a vegetable. Second off,
First off,
let's just get that off.
First something.
For second something, it doesn't make that doesn't make any sense. You don't even eat bubble gum. You just chew it and spit it out again.
You know, I tell you what,
I remember losing my
McDonald's
train
has
of thought.
lost my customership.
I
show up.
my customership.
I show up to a McDonald's and I try to
go
order
down
a
to
burger.
the McDonald's.
I try to get a burger, and they hand me some of that bubblegum broccoli. I'm gonna drive off. I'm gonna drive right away.
Armadillo back there. Grill me up one of those.
You got armadillo and some of that green ketchup. Oh, that sounds mighty good right
that's
now.
good. Have you ever tried it?
Them McDonald's scientists are playing God back in that laboratory.
There's one true God, and they do not need to play him.
and he created broccoli just how it is.
The good Lord made him.
So I see a sitcom that can actually fill the Big Bang Theory hole once they're off the TV. It's going to be about John. Wait, what was the guy? So he's
It's got to be something like Daryl.
No, I just lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about? Shit.
Daryl.
John Checkmail?
No.
Gum broccoli.
John Goodman.
My name's Daryl.
Roseanne.
TV show?
Yeah, I can't remember. I had a name for fucking Jim's character, but the point is that he has
Daniel Day-Lewis.
His sidekick is named Armadillon, and he made.
It doesn't matter, but armadillo.
Hey, no, you get over here, Armadillo. We're getting out of this
Is
McDonald's.
Armadillo a real armadillo?
Yeah, well, because in the first episode,
he sits right next to me in my truck. We're in the passenger seat. We drive around town.
He tries to shoot it.
yes, he tried to shoot him.
So what I wasn't able to play was that earlier in the episode I had said I went out and tried to shoot an armadillo because we were talking about bulletproof armadillos in True or False. Andrew's True or False Facts, which is a complete ripoff of Historical Truth or Dare, as he admitted in the episode. And I said something like. I got into character and I said something like, well, I just shot an armadillo off my back porch, a ricochet come back and hit me in the ear. And then we like literally 7 minutes later, like talking about a bulletproof armadillo coming back and hitting somebody in the jaw for real.
Oh my God.
purple ketchup.
I think my favorite quote from all that is, "Those damn McDonald's scientists are playing God."
and then you're like, what was it? You're like, you said something like, God made that ketchup like, or the broccoli like, because you're gonna say like
Just
how
the
God
way it
made it.
is.
You're gonna say like how God made it go. Just the way it is.
Oh shit! That reminded me of the name John Checkmail was referenced there.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
If you're a true OG fan,
cut.
you remember John Checkmail. And if you're not an OG fan, basically we inspired space fans so early on that we actually got a pod mail. I just want to read an excerpt from a very lengthy pod mail we got during episode 4. But at the end of the show, John Checkmail, one of our original OG fans, wrote in and said, "I've listened to the first 3 episodes so many times, I know exactly when to laugh when you guys do. My girlfriend hates this. She has no idea what I'm listening to, but when she sees how I walk with more confidence after I found the podcast, just yesterday she made some remark about how I'd changed. I'm not the man she fell in love with. Music to my ears. I'm better now. We are better now. People are taking notice. She said they don't pay enough attention to her, but maybe she had more to say about diarrhea parties and relevant music. I would be inclined to listen." Just great. I mean, the fans, I'm telling you, right?
Oh, that's wonderful.
All right, Chase, let's wrap up this walk down memory lane with your clip. What'd you
Oh,
bring?
here we go. Mine's short, but I'll give you a hint of what it's about. So this was the episode. This is a legendary episode, by the way. I just want everybody to know. Episode 57, entitled Lucius Pussy. Which I feel like I did the sports game, but I have a different part from that. But this whole episode is just a slapper. Let me tell you that. And so this is just a little thing that I just want everybody to know that the podcast is also really touching sometimes. And we bring music in, and it really makes everybody feel great. And there's more than laughter, So here's the part that I chose.
That you can play. I want to hear Jurassic Park, Tequila. I want to hear something.
Both.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I wanna
no,
recite
I'll
them.
give you tequila. I'm a little rusty and I have to do it with balancing a microphone.
I'll hold your mic.
We can hold your mic for you. Yeah, there you go.
Tequila. Oh my god. And
Yeah.
Mike had spent the whole weekend practicing that song and playing it for Kevin and Julia.
Yeah, and you could tell.
This is also the episode of Rat Watch where Kevin drives the rat that he trapped in his humane trap. And we start talking about how it's a humane trap and then how he's supposed to deal with the rat after he caught it. And we're like, well, maybe you could just use a hammer and bash its head in. Like, it's okay. It's a humane trap, but this hammer's not. And how he drives it to the park to release it and has to play it a playlist to keep it calm. It's a great ep. Episode 57. You should go listen to it. It's really fucking good. Yeah, it's a really good one.
Wow, it's not too late to go back, start episode 1, and just go through the whole goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think there's no better way to end this 100th episode than the way we end many episodes, with a little game. And this is a game that was actually sent in to us by a super fan, a space fan. You might even call him our editor, Daniel.
Yay!
He wrote us in, and this pod mail is titled "The Podworms Rewind Quiz."
Yes.
All right.
He says, "Hey, Podworms, today is a bittersweet day." It's making me emotional.
Oh my god.
It's like this is a letter that you read from your dad when you like graduate college, and it's like, "Wow, son, you made it."
Oh boy.
All right.
Bittersweet.
Fight through the tears.
Though your 100th episode marks an exciting milestone in your podcasting career, we all know there is no way that this episode could live up to the high bar set by episode 10's Pod Blast Space-tacular. The show has changed a lot over the last 2 years. I thought it'd be interesting to see how much you remembered about the shows of the past. To test your skills, I have created a quiz. The answers for the quiz are in a separate email, which I provided the credentials to at the bottom of this email. Good luck. And he actually created a second Gmail account and gave the username and password at the bottom. Instead of just sending a separate email or putting the emails at the answer at the bottom of this email, he actually created a separate email account, which I appreciate. That really helps to
It's dedication.
prevent me from cheating or anything like that.
Must have taken him all day to set up that second email.
Yeah, for real.
So
You really went through the work.
because I actually didn't create this, I guess I can participate as well. So
Why though?
Yeah, why not?
you're right.
I mean,
You might as well
why?
just kind of sit it out.
I mean, let's not try anything crazy. Now.
No, don't wanna break the mold.
So there's 6 questions here. The first question: how many theme songs has the show had?
3.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah, 3 because we
Three.
started with the Return of the Mac,
Mac.
and then Chase has done 2
I
versions.
did the other two.
Chases did his shitty one and then his good one.
Well,
That's very true.
well, the first Chase one was kind of like this arpeggio, right?
Yeah, I was trying to be really spacey with it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
the second one, I was like, you know what? Spacey's overdone. Let's go sexy.
yeah,
Yeah.
This is a sexy podcast.
Yeah, it's much. Yeah, if I could describe this podcast in one word, it would be sexy.
Yeah, couldn't put that first one in your face, Cass.
No, definitely not.
If you could describe it using a slide whistle, how would you describe it?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's kind of tender and
Do we
scary.
have
It was like kind of like a. That's what I was going for.
Yeah, that's
are
good.
we
All right, I'm looking at the separate email account now. You're correct. It is 3.
Oh,
Yes.
baby.
theme
Yes.
songs.
Nice.
Do we credit Chase for all 3 of those, or do we have to give yeah, let's just credit Chase for all 3
yeah,
of those.
Pretty sure
Yeah,
Chase
please.
didn't
Yeah.
write Return of the Mac.
No,
He kind of did.
Phil.
He
I'm
kind
pretty
of
sure he
did.
did.
Credit
I'm
me for
pretty sure
Return of
he
the
did.
Mac.
Okay, here's a tougher one. He's called this one a bonus question. Which episode?
So wait, we're done with the quiz?
That was it.
We're done.
Look, I can't question his logic. He said, "What episode did each song begin being used?"
Whoa.
So
Oh,
what was the
that's a fucking
transition
episode.
between?
Okay,
my
I know the
gosh.
first one.
Episode 1.
Episode 1
1.
for Return of the Mac.
Uh-huh.
When did Return of the Mac end, though?
I want to hazard a
think-
guess that it happened at the end of the Old Testament.
I think 16 is when we changed to Chase's
16?
first.
Is that the end of season 2?
Oh yeah, we used to have seasons.
I think that's I agree with Mike on that one. The third one though,
51.
I was gonna say
Whoa.
50, but yeah.
I think it's 51. I don't
Oh
think
shit.
I would agree.
Okay.
All right, I'm not
So
going
I
to argue with
concur.
that.
16 and 51.
I might be. I think 16 is questionable because I don't know if we like kicked it off with another one because
think
we
it's-
took like a 4-week break.
1, 16, 51.
I'm gonna guess 120 and 50.
Okay.
I like 61 and 50 or 16 and 50.
Okay, it was 1, 16, and 51.
Nice
yeah.
work, buddy.
Great
Holy
job,
shit.
boys.
Wow, is that? Did you know that, Mike?
Yeah, Mike knew that.
I mean, I guessed because I just knew from when we took breaks, and I edited episode 50, which has its own kind of like pseudo intro. And I
Oh.
remember talking to Chase about getting it for 51.
Are those
Wow,
on the
baby.
seasons? Like,
What was it?
is that how the seasons are broken up?
I don't know. I think yes. I think the first season is 1 through 15, and then it's 16 through. It's like we go 15 episodes, and then 16 episodes, then 16 episodes, then 15 episodes.
I remember when we were first talking, we were really fixated on making the seasons thing work.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we've done 15 episodes, but then 16 episodes. So should we just do like a pattern of like 15, 16, 15, 16? And I'm like, I don't think it matters that much.
Fans aren't going to care.
Especially because you can't sort our podcast by season.
The number.
And there's no real discernible difference considering that we changed mics halfway through season 2,
Well,
which made the episodes actually listenable.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So here, number 3, what was the original suggested name of the NSRG? This originated episode 27, and he was so kind as to provide the transcript of the episode here. So he said, this is me speaking. He said, he being me. All right, so here, to close out the show here before we convene today for the pod, I got the opinion of my fellow podcasters here in this room about a few different items, and I just wanted to get their opinions about kind of how they'd rank these items. So I don't have a snappy title for this segment yet, and if it isn't good, it doesn't need one because it probably is never going to come back.
Look at us now.
And he gave some multiple choice. The three proposed, so Daniel said, which name was quipped in response? This segment is Rank, the talking over each other game, or Ranking Minute.
Talking over each other game for sure.
I think it's this segment is
bonus point. Name the quipper who suggested the name.
I think it was Kevin.
I quipped it, and it's
Kevin.
this segment is ranked.
This segment is ranked.
Yeah, that sounds like a Kevin thing to say
Quick?
for sure.
Yeah, okay. I'll agree.
I feel like this is something where Kevin was like, very quickly, he heard what we were doing, and he was like, "The segment is ranked."
You're right.
It's frantic.
You're right. It was Kevin. This segment is Rank.
Nailed it.
Couldn't contain himself. He was so excited.
I didn't realize that was the first NSRG. 27 is the episode that we were like suggesting to people for a while because it was like the first like solid 40-minute because it had squeaky shoes, it had wagon wheel, and then it was the first NSRG.
Oh, the wagon wheel.
Yeah,
that would have been a good clip to bring to
I'm gonna go back and listen to that one.
It's a good one.
Sounds good.
It's actually really good because it also has all 7 of us too. Yeah,
Which of course makes it better.
It's a good one.
And because it's earlier in the episodes, there's gonna be definitely more talking over each other.
Yeah, it's the only one that I convinced Julia to listen to.
And how'd she like it?
She liked it.
Nice.
Not enough to listen to any other ones.
But enough to not turn it off.
Yeah.
Good.
What were the 4 items from the original unnamed game that became NSRG?
Oh man,
I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm not going to give it away.
I have to look at notes, and that would be cheating.
It was.
I know this.
So NSRG, the non sequitur ranking
I
game,
know this.
always involves 4 items that are not related to one another except for their name.
Shut the hell up. I know this.
All right, what was it?
It's
Ground,
Yep.
ground beef, Groundhog Day, and no wait,
Being
I said that
grounded.
wrong. The ground
Yes.
is the ground.
ground beef, Groundhog Day, and being grounded. Yep, that's right. Now I don't know. I'm pretty sure that grounded was ranked last. I don't know what order they're ranked in, but I think grounded was ranked last. And I think ground beef might have been ranked first.
Do you mean by the group? Or you mean in terms of me reading?
I don't know what we can end up. Do we rank them individually or
Yeah,
what?
yeah. It was individual.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't remember that because that was my second choice for a clip. Is at the end of that we're talking about groundhogs and like I think you were Andrew, you were talking about how the ground is like number 1 because without that we don't have anything.
I mean that's true.
And then I like just like off the cuff just said, yeah, like a groundhog without the ground is just a hog. And then we spend like 3 minutes because for some reason Jim was questioning it, which is good. But
Yeah.
Jim was like, wait, a groundhog without a hog? Isn't that just a large pig? And then for some reason everybody jumped on it. It was like, no, it's just a hog. And we explained it for like 3 or 4 minutes. It's one of my favorite little bits because it's just like it doesn't make any sense. But it's not like a great like podcast clip as much as it's just a funny thing that happened.
But it is a great podcast.
Yeah.
Right,
Great podcast.
right.
Number 5. Which of the following is not the title of a Podworms episode? Hi, I'm Dave. Halloween. Neighbors. Road closed.
Halloween. It's Halloween.
It's too obvious a name for
Road
an
Closed
episode.
was pretty recently, so
Oh, was that?
it's Halloween.
It's Halloween.
Oh, I was gonna say real close.
Yeah, I was gonna say real close, but I guess
Halloween is it.
we usually do like spooktacular or something like that.
exactly.
So Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween is boring.
Boo.
The answer is Halloween.
Yes.
Because the Halloween special is titled Horror.
Fucking
Ah.
idiots.
Oh, yeah, way
okay.
more interesting.
Yeah,
you know?
way better.
That's so
way
good.
more interesting.
That's
way
So much
better.
more depth.
I'm interested. Yeah,
way more
Oh,
interesting.
I'd listen to that.
Horror. Oh yes.
You don't have to just listen to that only on Halloween. You can listen to that. Any horror fans out there?
I want to feel horrified.
Yeah, well, and it's good too because like if people are looking for a horror podcast, our podcast will come up
Because we have
The
one
algorithm.
episode.
because we have one
Horror.
episode. That's definitely going to make it to the top of the
Yeah.
SEO.
Actually, for a while, it was our most listened to. I think for that reason, it was the most like because I think when it released and we were like trying to like get people to listen, like people were always going to horror. They're like, "Oh, that sounds good."
I remember we were not happy about that.
No, because isn't it one of the ones where we're like doing the round like the single mic between all of us, so it just sounds it sounds like a mic is like 10 feet away from us and we're like in a cave.
Can we make this episode like the 100th episode spectacular featuring Joe Rogan? Just so it like shows up fun.
I mean, we can get that.
That's a pretty good idea.
That's a pretty good idea. It's pretty easy to get Joe Rogan's voice on shit now.
Yeah, the AI thing,
the AI fake thing with the
We could just replace all of somebody's words here on the show today with Joe Rogan's voice instead. Last question. Outside of the United States and Canada, in which country does the next highest number of podcast downloads originate? Ireland, South Africa, Netherlands, Germany.
It's got to be South Africa.
South Africa?
It's got to be South
I'm
Africa.
gonna throw out a Germany just for the heck of it.
I'm gonna throw out Ireland.
I'm gonna go with Ireland.
Ireland.
They speak the same language.
So in in last place of these four is Germany.
Damn it.
Only
Idiot.
giving us 0.6% of our downloads.
Wow.
0.6.
South Africa comes next, 1% of our downloads.
Clive.
Thanks, Clive.
It's only Clive.
Tied.
The only fan.
Tied with the Netherlands, 1%, which means the next highest after the United States and Canada is Ireland. 2.41% of all the podcast downloads.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
That's like 240 million.
Yep.
That's pretty damn close.
Here's looking at you, Ireland.
That's pretty damn close. So yeah, drink a Guinness on me tonight.
How do they get money
Don't
from
we
you?
all have our VPNs set to Ireland?
Drinking Guinness on me tonight.
Yeah,
I mean more like
that's how you did it. I would do that to everybody.
I meant more like think about me when you buy one yourself.
with your own money. Sorry, just to
Yeah.
asterisk that.
Thank you. That's our legal team speaking.
Yeah.
Well, this has been quite a ride. Not only this episode, but the last 100 episodes. We're excited to bring you 100 more. If you like this show, make sure to follow us on our social media. Podworms Spacecast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We have a website, pwspacecast.com. We have an email address, of course,
Yeah, we do.
to write in all this pod mail, like John Check mail.
Right.
Yep.
If you want to rival some of his legendary emails,
Yep.
pwspacecast@gmail.com is the place to be. We'd love to read your pod mail right here on this goddamn show. And it's important, space fans, if you like this show, you must tell people about it, whether it's a loved one, a family member, a coworker, a construction worker. You have to let these people know. They will thank you. And we thank you for 100 episodes, 100 more to come. Go have a Guinness on me. And until next time, space fans, keep squirting.
So, did Daniel really think that the fucking email account was going to prevent me from getting the answers?